Mr. Logbodiyan, there are a lot of people who are watching this show today who are really not too happy with the state of the country. But they are also not happy with your party because they say, and even as the last guest also talked about 16 years, that your party caused this country to decay so badly that the president and his team had to be brought in to remedy, to save the situation. So why should they even be looking your way?
Well, thank you very much. We agree that the People's Democratic Party did its very best in those 16 years. I listened to Festus Keyamo, SAN, and I saw his struggles to remake the APC and represent it to Nigeria. The truth of the matter is that the People's Democratic Party as a party does not recourse to blame game. When, in 1999, President Obasanjo was elected on the platform of our party, he put in his best. And he had his achievements, contrary to what Festus Keyamo tried to relate to Nigerians. And I know that since then, every presidency that came out of the People's Democratic Party, every president did his best. For instance, in the last 5 years of the People's Democratic Party, President Jonathan's administration or his presidency established 12 universities across the federation. He built roads, the Lokoja-Abuja road, which majority of Nigerians, southern part, ply today, was a creation of the People's Democratic Party. We can go on and on. The booklet I'm holding here contains the achievements of the People's Democratic Party. But time is of essence. It won't allow me to begin to read to you. But I can tell you that today, majority of Nigerians believe that the situation in which they find themselves today is worse, and terribly so, compared to where they were in 2015. And there is no form of fictitious analysis. There is no form of figures being bandied by the All Progressives Congress and its president, or its vice president, or its ministers, that can change the truth that the economic reality today, the pains, the hunger, the starvation that Nigerians are going through today was not what we had in 2015.
If I could just butt in here, Mr. Logbodiyan. When we had the advent of the PDP for that period of years that you ruled and administered the Nigerian state, people felt that the impunity at which corruption was being perpetrated by the PDP was one of the highest that was ever seen on the African continent. And because of that, you literally plunged this country into that state of recession and left the ruins for the APC to fix. How would you respond to that? Because you're the custodian of what you allege, or should I say what you challenge the APC to do, to come up with that looters list. If they must substantiate their own claims, they should come up with a looters list. Now that that list is out, do you feel, for instance, that the hurts and pains you have caused Nigerians can be justified by the resultant effects that we're seeing from the looters list that was released?
Yeah, thank you, Gimba. Without making excuses for our party and the presidencies that Nigerians allow our party to elect into office, I would like to say very clearly that the People's Democratic Party administrations establish every institution created to fight corruption in our country today. That is a fact. Whether it's AFCC, whether it's ICPC, whether TSA, whether BVN, whatever you mention, whatever you name that's been used to fight corruption was a product of the People's Democratic Party administration. You must also not forget that under the People's Democratic Party administrations, members of our party accused of malfeasance bordering on corruption were arrested, were arraigned, and until we were voted out of office in 2015, they had their days in the court. But what do you get today? The situation you find today is that everybody which PDP had put on trial for alleged malfeasance bordering on corruption, they have crossed over to the All Progressives Congress and they are enjoying a presidential cover from the villa. That is a statement of fact.
Mr.
Ajuri, let me complete. Let me just 1 second. Let me explain the question asked by Gimba. You also recall, and I want to give you just a practical example, and I will leave you to that. You also recall that before Jonathan's administration was voted out of office, which is PDP's administration, take the situation in the Northeast, for instance, that we introduced presidential initiative for the Northeast and raised victims' fund, totaling about 59 to 60 billion naira. When we were voted out, APC took control. Don't forget that it was part of that money that the former SGF went and claimed to have spent over 200 million in grass cutting exercise.
Okay, Mr. Ologbondiyan, for want of time, I have to ask you this last question before we go. We haven't had a chance to speak with you since there was that abrupt U-turn at an earlier NEC meeting of the APC where, of course, President Buhari announced that this is what was his position on the issue of tenure elongation of the APC-NWC. Now, how has that changed the strategy of your party in terms of, there were speculations that, look, some disaffected APC governors were ready to leave the party if the Oyegun NWC was allowed to stay in place. Has that changed now because of the change of position? Has the strategy of your party changed at all?
You see, you need to have a clinical understanding of what is happening in APC. Their crises are just begun. And it doesn't in any way affect the People's Democratic Party strategy. It doesn't. I will not go into the details because for us, we are enjoying it.
What if there's no crisis?
In APC.
Mm-hmm. You're very sure, you're cocksure that
are you relying on crisis?
We don't accept I've told you from the beginning of this interview that we are not bothered about what is happening in APC. But I'm just telling you that as a Nigerian, that a crisis in APC has just started. And we are enjoying it. You need to have a clinical understanding of what President Buhari did before he traveled. What did he do? He, as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, invoked invoked Section 30, subsection 2 of their Constitution. Where did he derive the power to do that? But that is their problem. It's an internal problem, so we are not bothered.
Mr. Ologbondiyan, we have to thank you. We're totally out of time now. You say you're not looking for crisis, but at the same time you say you're looking. It's very confusing. But we'll see how things develop in the coming days. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Kola Ologbondiyan is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Sunrise Daily will continue in a moment with another perspective. Please stay with us.